and you present it and you go live.
Nice segue. Nice segue. Like, say something so it's not weird.
Yeah. Hi, Brian. Welcome to the Real and Raw Show. I'm Lynn Serrano.
And I'm Brian, ready to go.
Oh, I'm super excited. We are ready to go. Okay, we'll be right back after this, okay? Welcome back. Hey, Brian. I think a few people missed us last week.
Yeah, it just never fails. No matter like if I come in a minute before and make you sweat, or I come in 10 minutes before, we always run to the wire where our conversation goes into being live.
Yeah. And I don't know what part you guys got through, but let me tell you, some good stuff coming up soon, and you guys are going to be like, wow.
It's kind of like when you prompt a story, but then it's like there are some things that you might not be able to talk about in public, or it's like a little bit more intimate that you can ask somebody later. That might have been one of those moments. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we'll have to go watch the replay and see for ourselves where that conversation was.
We just don't know timing very well. That's what it is, apparently.
But you know what? That's okay. That's leaves the mystique going. So I want to thank you again for last week. I thought I was going to
big news.
I thought I was going to come on the show after not sleeping all night. Had 3 hours sleep at the hospital with my daughter, and I'm like, yeah, things have progressed, and I don't know where this is going to go. Whatever. Brian goes, Lynn, just don't worry about it. My daughter goes, you're going to go live in the other room. I'm like, I don't know, Anyways, at 6:00 that evening, right before 6:00, my grandson was born, and he was a miracle baby. Yeah, so he had a knot in his umbilical cord, and he came out very blue, and you put him on his mama, and it was just a miracle right before your eyes. So it was a real big blessing. It was an emotional and awesome experience. That's to say the least. So yeah. So
no, I'm like, hey, we want to share and we want to be of service to everybody, but it's like, hey, you got to take time out for personal stuff.
Yeah, and it was amazing, and thank you for I was like, I didn't want to let you down, and you're like, Lynn, no. It was, but I was ready. Like I had the phone. Like, okay, this is what I'll do. I can do this and that.
You're the nurse and doctors are coming in. What's with all this video gear? Oh, I got a show to do.
Yeah.
Well, this baby might be coming. I don't care. I got a show to do.
Yeah, and of course we were going to talk about the 6P, so I was like trying to be all preparation, preventing sport performance, even though I was tired as heck. I sent you a picture. I looked pretty scary. My eyes were pretty dark.
We're talking lack of sleep. Lack of sleep.
He said, gosh, Lynn, you look rough. I'm like, I know.
This is what no sleep looks like.
So yeah, I would have been really pissed for showing up for performance on that.
That's without the performance aspect or with the preparation. She prepared to have piss poor. Okay.
So
not exactly what we're talking about, but yeah.
Anyways, go ahead, Brian. I give you the floor.
This we think about all sorts of different topics for this show, and something that stimulates your thought process, and something that, because we never know it all. We might have heard it, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we, kind of like a doctor that is specialized or niche down in a certain area, doesn't mean they forget the stuff that they learned early on. It just might mean that they don't look at it very often, or it becomes routine. And so the preparation, there's very little in this world that
Sorry. When I think of preparation, I always think of growing up with that letter H. But anyways.
Just another way to just get us off track. I love it. Focus.
You inspire me sometimes too much.
No, but proper preparation prevents performance or poor performance. So some people say the 5 Ps. I prefer the 6 because I'm a little bit no nonsense, a little bit brash, a little bit in your face and real. And I think that the 6P really adds a lot to it. Is it politically correct? No, but look at our show. We're not politically correct either, right? So, but it's like, it doesn't matter. Anything that you ever do or don't do, you can be traced back to your preparation. And if it doesn't happen, like Les Brown says, aim for the stars. And if you fall short, you're better than where you were. Right. So when I look at this topic, it's like everything, a majority of things in life can be traced back to either prepared for it or you didn't.
Right.
And you have to answer to yourself in terms of if you did or if you didn't.
Right. And that's one thing I do like, though, is, you can plan so much, but if you don't take action, it's just as bad as all this prepping up and all this stuff. So what we like is, like, you may not know something about podcasting or doing this or weddings or this or that, but taking the step to go, towards something that you feel uncomfortable with or not prepared to do, you gotta either shit or get off the pot, right?
Correct.
So the thing is you're it's okay not to be perfect, but know what it entails, and you could still be proper for showing up and putting your all into it and that kind of stuff. So I mean, there, because we were just always so prepped to be so perfect, and then those perfect people never show up because they're worried about the performance too. So I mean, there's two ways of looking at this.
Well,
topic,
and though too, it's like anytime that somebody talks about preparation, if they relate it to like a numeric figure of some sorts, anybody that's looking at it from that, they think they're being validated by the hours that they put in, but that has nothing to do with the outcome. That has nothing to do with the results in the end. Like in the business of weddings and event production, you can say that you're going to put in so many hours as if that's a validation of what your dollar amount should be that you get paid. But it doesn't matter. If it does not reach the end goal, the outcome, the results, and the success that you wanted to create, either individually without, with the couple speaking on their behalf only, without any influence of myself, or if it's a collaborative experience, the hours don't matter. And that's where the proper preparation.
Right. It's just like, look at plays and productions. You got 6 weeks before your play.
Yep.
And then it comes right down to this whole 6 Ps. Yeah. You either pick something up in 6 weeks, whether it was a good habit or a bad habit, and you show up.
Well, I mean, proper, obviously what's proper. Now, if we look at the outcome or what was lacking, well, then they could be like, well, they didn't prepare enough.
Right.
They might have prepared, but they weren't doing the right things to prepare.
Right.
The things that really mattered.
Right.
Their scripts, how well they knew the audience. Like this past Friday, I had the pleasure of meeting with Joshua and Christopher, one of my couples for this summer. And they're going to have an adult bouncy house. They're going to have a drag show. They're going to have a mariachi band throughout cocktail hour and dinner. And
what date's at this?
What's that?
What date? This might be a good one. When did crash your day? What's the date?
And so the thing that really spoke to me is that, okay, we did our planning early, and then their wedding party showed up, or at least the majority of them. The beautiful thing was that everybody had a vested interest, not only in getting to know each other, and a majority of them knew each other, but they also are coming together to disrupt the norm, waiting until the weekend of the wedding to all of a sudden now they get invested in what we're doing. Right.
What's the date, Brian? That's all I need to know.
Yeah. And so proper preparation, leaning into that connection, leaning into what, and it was amazing because that everybody started creating, like, I wanted to make sure that we got through enough preparations before they arrived. They had drinks in hand. We had food, that we had enough substance that we could talk to them about, like, the ceremony order, who was coming in with who, and maybe some dynamics about that, but then moving over to the Grand March introductions, right? If we wanted to change the order, if we wanted to keep it the same, because there is no rules or laws that says that the ceremony order has to be the same as the Grand March, Yeah. And so it was great to talk to everybody, because people started creating what they wanted to do for their introductions. They have months in advance to prepare for that stuff. So, but it's going to be on their mind to make it great, to lean into what the process is. And everybody was talking about the wedding is going to be epic. That was the words that were used by everybody.
When's the date, right?
Yeah.
But anyhow, is it in July?
No, it's not.
Is it in August?
Yes.
Early August?
No.
Oh, shoot. Darn it. But
they're having a split guest count, 250 guests throughout the day, and then about another 150 friends. And it was so funny because some of the members of the wedding party are like, I don't even know 250 people to like them,
Oh my
enough to have
gosh.
them there,
Oh,
But,
that's too funny. That's awesome. But and then there's things like law enforcement and like ambulances and EMTs, they have to practice and prepare a lot,
yeah,
and yet they prepare as much as they can. But it depends when they get there. It's all different.
yeah.
So again, it's having some preconceived idea or notion and being prepared for everything.
Well, and I think too, it's like it doesn't matter if you're an artist, a performer, a live streamer, is that your preparation gets you to the next step, but you're
Exactly.
not measuring it. You just show up and you do your thing, kind of like when we started out on this.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're going to say, and you don't know what I'm going to say, but we harmonize, we relate,
Right.
and that preparation, right? I mean,
Right.
just like look at it this way. When I used to go to therapy, I would show up and my therapist would just ask me about the past month or what I wanted to work on. That is one reality versus me showing up prepared, like, okay, here are the three things I moved from last month to this month.
Well,
That person, regardless of which method I chose, is there to help me.
right.
But I got a lot more out of the one where I came invested in what I was there to move than if I just showed up and hopefully they can percolate something and we have an hour together.
Right. You with the percolate and keeping same for preparation. I don't know how you're doing it without laughing. But anywho, you must have really prepared. That's all I can say.
And see, I think too is that anybody that's a true performer, anybody that's a high achiever, like I've got my backup if this live stream goes down right next to me. Now, obviously, there are some things that we can't control, like the internet, the power, all of that, but you harmonize with it.
Right.
And it's like like for instance, I was even telling somebody, I'm like, hey, by investing in everybody, like let's just say I slip up on a name or something when I'm introducing everybody, they're going to forgive me
Right.
because I have their best interests in mind. I care about them and I'm a human being.
Right.
When you come across as being superficial and you're better than everybody else or you're so much ahead of everyone, there's no relatedness in that,
Right. Right.
you know?
Well, and I just love everything you said today because it just reminds me that, you know, just having some knowledge or preparing, because everything and anything you can't prepare, really.
Correct.
Let's be
Right.
honest,
Right.
because you never know when a dog's gonna bark or somebody's gonna come to the door or whatever in any situation. You just don't know. You can only hope that things will go how you plan, but you never know. Even if you're doing a Zoom presentation and
Correct.
somebody just they all leave because their power goes off or whatever. In life, you just showing up is not what it's important, but not showing up and not being prepared can really disrupt everybody else that's being prepared
And
as
I
well.
and I think too is that this goes back many years ago to a colleague of mine. I used to be the type of person when I was a master of ceremonies where I would wake up on a wedding day like 5 or 6 in the morning, and then I would be working until probably 3 a.m. the next day. And I had a buddy call me out. His name is Scotty from Texas. He's like, why are you racking your brain over all this? He goes, number one is that a wedding day is unlike any other day. You're going to be up longer. You're going to use more of your brain. You're going to use more of yourself up on the day in which everything happens. And he goes, does the audience know what you're going to say anyways? I was beating myself up over memorizing my scripts. And if I would slip up on a word, then I would make myself wrong for it. He goes, the
Yeah,
audience has absolutely no idea what you're going to say anyways.
right. And can we not forget, because we're such mindset people, not to forget to say more than anything, bring a good mindset of, and don't have a piss poor attitude expecting it to fail, because whatever you think will be. So,
Mhm.
I mean, having a great attitude about showing up and saying, "Look, I'm as prepared as I'm going to be, and I'm going to go with whatever happens." I think that, like they say, expect the unexpected, right?
Correct. Right.
And that would really help your demeanor and how you'll receive everything that's going on.
Well, and I think too is that if we look at it in two different ways, like strictly from a wedding or a corporate perspective, if you tell yourself that you're prepared, but you're so tight about it, you're nervous, you're whatever, like there's just something missing, whether it's a lack of sleep or diet or exercise, and you show up and you're like, yeah, I'm prepared, but then all of a sudden it just doesn't feel right to the audience.
Yeah.
You don't move them in a compelling way. The
Yeah.
message doesn't land like you wanted it to. Does that preparation matter if the group of people that you were there to serve don't have the same experience?
Right.
Because it's one thing to be prepared for yourself. It's another thing to be prepared for them, that their time is going to be valued. They're going to get something out of the message, and they're going to talk about it after.
And I love that about authentically when you see people speaking. Somebody could go ahead, spill coffee all over their paper.
Yep.
If they know what they're talking about, they can tell a gist, they can reword it or verb it. People either know or they know you don't know.
Correct.
And so that's really, really important to know that, like you said, you're either in a business because you love it or you're in a business because, you're waiting for the, paycheck.
Well, and I love all the mentors in my life, like Jeffrey Gitomer, Jeb Blunt, Anthony Iannarino, also, and Larry Levine, and so on and so forth, is that nobody's showing up to hear you talk.
Right.
They're showing up for what they can get out of what you have to say.
Right.
Now, if the message is great and it resonates and it helps them out, well, then they remember who you are.
Right.
But it's almost better to be anonymous, because they're not coming there for you. They're coming there for how you can move their thinking, how you can help them. And then if they remember your name, great. If they don't, that's okay too, because it's not about you.
Right. And that's a great point to make is, egos aside, if you're in it to care and to give value and to give a different perspective, people appreciate that. And like I said, I don't think you have to worry about the whole 6 Ps.
No.
If, and get all, oh my gosh, I got to get all this to be prim and proper and all that stuff. No, it's like, why are you in the skin?
Right.
What's the purpose?
Well, I mean, just doing the thing over and over again, you can master just by repetition.
Yeah.
But also, though, there's something to be said, and there's many quotes that relate to it. Like, if you don't have butterflies, you might want to consider something else. Because your passion, if that's not coming through, if your conviction, if the compelling nature about you, you're interesting, you come across as a happy person. If you are truly that, it's going to show up over time. It's not going to show up all at once, because anybody can fake in the beginning. But then, like, let's say it's an in-person event. Is that person still happy? Do you feel that they really care? Because that's all we really have is that perception.
Right.
Now, if somebody is naturally caring and they just want people to succeed, and if it didn't come across as somebody, that's okay, but that's where your heart is. But if somebody tried to be perceived as something, but they're naturally not that, there's one thing if you have it inside your heart and somebody didn't feel it, versus if you're trying to be fake about it and to try to get somebody to see something that you aren't.
Yeah. Well, and again, it's just like you said, I think that's what I love when I see presentations. I mean, we forget we're spirits. So when you see somebody there and they're giving their heartfelt words and putting their actions to it and things like that, you see so much more in depth of that person, and then you can either relate or you don't.
Well,
Like
one of the best examples of proper preparation is where there was his guy's name is Todd. He lives out in Colorado. A very, very great trainer, improv guy, theater guy, and on purpose, he was doing a presentation where backup plans. They immediately, like at some time throughout his presentation, they pulled the plug on his power.
Wow.
And so his PowerPoint went down, the screen went down, all the lighting in the room went down, but he kept going on.
Right.
Because in that very moment, he didn't want to have people theorize about this. What would I do? Because when it happens, you're not going to be thinking about it. You're going to go to that muscle memory that you already have. Kind of like an improv, you respond, you make your other person look good.
Yeah.
You keep rolling with it. You don't put those butts in there that stall the action. And you keep rolling with it because you know your material so much. It might not be on point. You might not be using the right words. It might not be memorized. But everybody would prefer it to be conversational over memorized anyway.
Yeah, for sure.
as long as the audience gets across what you want to convey, whether it be a sentence, a word, or something very, very simple, if you can honestly, if you ask people and say, what did you get out of my presentation, and what you wanted them to get is what they say, then you won.
Yeah.
But if there's so many things that they said that they got out of it and none of it is what you intended for them to get, that might be something to look at.
Yeah. Well, I just thought of, it's like an opening play.
Yeah.
Watch it the first day, come back the end of the last show, and you get more even out of it, because by then they're really in their, their zone of genius, and in the flow of it, that you're just amazing how you can see it from from day one to day two, day three or day four or whatever.
And one thing before we get out of here, because our time is
Yep.
almost up,
Yep.
is that everything that we're talking about today is everything you do for you.
Yeah.
You're not doing it for any measurement or kudos or any of that. You're doing it for you because that's the person you want to become. That's your potential. And then that's your gift to the world with whatever you do, whether it's live streaming, business, speaking, any of that. You are doing this for you to become the best person you can possibly be for other people. This is your foundation by your preparation, because you give me somebody that's well prepared for many, many years, they're going to go places. But somebody that is kind of willy-nilly, doing it a little here and a little there, they're probably not going to do so well, because it's very average and very easy to do that once in a while. To do it every day, especially in those big moments where you're on stage or whatever, or a wedding or a corporate event, that's when you really have to shine.
Well, and I love that you said, you can profess and get better every time you do it. But one thing that's really awesome is that you need to still grow with it, and you still need to be authentic, and you still need to feel like you're doing it for the first time.
Oh, 100%.
Because you don't know where people will start seeing you, and when they do and they don't. But one thing that always shines is just your authentic self.
Right. Well,
yeah.
And one thing I've always learned too, and there's a lot of cliches about it, but it's like you're only as good as your last performance.
Yeah.
You're only as good as your last seminar. You're only as good as whatever, and then fill in the blanks with whatever discipline you're in. And I think a lot of people phone that in, because then they filter their brain with all their accolades, awards, what people said. And it's just like, okay, beginner's mind. Assume that nobody's ever seen you before every single time you go out.
Right.
And like Albert Einstein says, if you can't explain it to a sixth grader, you don't know it well enough.
Yeah. So what are your final words? I think those were, but
yeah, I would pass it back to you, about the 6 P's.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I think that this topic might scare some people, but there's nothing to be scared of.
No.
And when you approach it, and I think we gave you the contrast of beating in your head to be professional and just show up, but we're also beating in your head to show up and learn and progress and be the best you can be while doing it.
Well, and you got to do it in your own way. If you don't do it in your own way, it's not authentic to you.
Right. Yeah. So I think we brought both sides of the coin on that. I'm happy with it. So I still got found out about that wedding. But anyways.
Yeah. We'll talk backstage.
That's right. You guys have a great day. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you, and we'll see you next Monday. Have a great Monday.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
See you next week.